Got it. All right. Welcome to our weekly get-together. Okay, the first thing I wanted to do was talk about the exam. You guys, as a group at least, did pretty well. Where did that thing go? All right, well, let me do that. Well, let me do that. No, not there. How about if I just push it over there? All right, I know it's around here somewhere. There it is. All right. So let me show you the grade distribution. Share. Okay, can you see that now? So out of 30 possible points, one of you got a 30. Yay. The average grade was a 24, which is a low B, but still that's pretty good. And the lowest grade, whoa, that's not quite right. The lowest grade was a 17. So good job, you guys. All right. Now, the thing you need to know, the most important thing is, let's see if will that make it disappear? Oh, no, sure. All right, that's better. Okay, thing you need to know is that, that we have this thing called Pest Corrections, and I explained it to you in an announcement last week, I think it was, or maybe it was just the weekend. So the way it works is you make an appointment to talk to me and explain the right answers for the questions that you got wrong. For every one that you explain correctly, I give you half a point back. So if you got, say, a 50% on the exam, and you do well on the test corrections, you can end up with a 75, which is a huge improvement. Okay. These appointments take time, and so they have to be done by Friday, March 13th. So you have all of next week and all of the week after spring break. I could even be talked into doing some during spring break if we can find the right time. Depending on how you did on the exam, you know, the more questions you got wrong, the longer the time it will take. I generally plan on about 30 minutes for each appointment. I have 70 students. That's 35 hours, which is a lot of time. So the moral of the story is it's really in your best interest to make your appointment as soon as possible. The appointment doesn't have to be as soon as possible. You could make your appointment for Friday, March 13th, but do it soon because those time slots are going to fill up. Okay, and when they're gone, they're gone. I can only talk to one person at a time. Okay, so go over the exam. Assignment 5 asked you to get together with your group and figure out what the right answers were for all the questions. Once you have assignment 5 done, anytime after that, you can come in and see me, okay? And by come in, you can literally come in, we can meet face-to-face, or we can do a meeting online. I'm pretty flexible, but either way, you need to turn in assignment 5 before we meet, because otherwise you won't know what the answers are. Okay, did you guys have a question there? Amy, was that you? Nope. Becca?
Nope.
Okay. All right. Okay, so hopefully you have turned in assignment 4. If you haven't, do it as soon as you can. That's the exam reflection. The reason why I want it done quickly is because I don't want you to forget. So turn it in, it won't take very long. I find those really useful to read before you come in for your test corrections appointment. So, and I do enjoy reading them. So please make sure you do that. Hey, Christine, are we ever going to see you in all your glory? It might be Christine, or it could be some 14-year-old kid from Bangladesh pretending to be Christine, for all we know. Okay. At least I got a smile out of Morgan on that. Hi, Amanda.
Hi.
Welcome. Okay, so that's the exam. You know, if you have questions, let me know. And hopefully you'll make your appointment for test corrections soon so I can get you on the calendar so that we will both know when you're coming in to see me. Okay, Amy and Emily, you are welcome to come sequentially, but you have to come individually. All right, any questions about about the test corrections?
Do we have to do the test corrections?
No, you do not. You can take your grade as it is if you're happy with it. If you've got a 30, don't try to make an appointment for test corrections because that would be dumb. You can make an appointment to just come talk to me about the class or something. That's fine. Okay. Or to put it differently, since I think that was was it Amy's question? Or was it Emily's question? Amy? Or was it Becca?
No.
Okay, somebody asked the question. I did hear it.
It wasn't us.
Okay. The answer is, you know, in this class, I tell you what I think you should be doing, and it's up to you to decide whether to do it. So anyway, but no, obviously, if you got a really decent grade, you don't need to come in for test corrections. Usually that's not the problem. Usually the people that come in are the ones that did really well, and the people that don't come in are the ones that really need the help. Of course, you guys are not in that list because you're here at the Hangout. So you're the high achievers, or at least that's what you're what you want me to think, and that's fine. Okay. I got an exciting treat the other day. I ran into Morgan in real life on campus. That was shocking. It was a treat. It made my day.
Anytime.
Okay. All right. Number 2 on my list, consumer equilibrium. We are finishing up that topic, and let me jump to the, let's see, there we go. Okay, so this is the module on utility. And what you need to know how to do is to find a consumer equilibrium given a scenario. So I thought we would work through that tonight so that you will at least have done it one time, and and that I think will help. All right, so let's talk about this. So the idea here is economists believe that consumers choose the things to buy because the things they buy give them satisfaction or utility. They satisfy some need, okay? So we assume that the total utility that you get depends on how much of the item that you buy. So if you're thinking slices of pizza, 2 slices gives you more total utility than 1 slice, 3 gives you more than 2, and so forth, okay? So in general, total utility increases, but at a decreasing rate. At some point you get tired of pizza and you don't get any more utility from eating pizza. Okay, so that's point number 1. Point number 2 is really important concept called marginal utility. The marginal utility is how much utility you get from each individual slice. Have 1 more slice of pizza, how much additional utility do you get? Okay. Marginal utility is the change in total utility as you eat additional slices of pizza. Again, we're going to do a numerical example so that you can see exactly how this works. Okay. In the theory of utility, there are two rules. There is the first rule of consumer behavior, and what do you think the second rule is? You're right, it's the second rule of consumer behavior. Go figure. Okay, the first rule of consumer behavior says a consumer will never pay more for something than they think it's worth. Okay, a consumer will never pay more for something than they think it's worth. If you buy it, you must think it's worth the money. Otherwise, it would be irrational for you to do the purchase, assuming that you have a choice. We're not talking about somebody holds a gun up at you and says your money or your life. That's not a voluntary transaction. But if you do a voluntary transaction, it must be that you think it's worth the money at some level. Okay. What that means is, well, no, let me go a step further. Okay, actually, first let me go a step back. Marginal utility. What we know about marginal utility is while it may go up at first, eventually it will go down. If you keep eating slices of pizza, eventually each additional slice will give you less satisfaction than the one before. If you combine this idea of diminishing marginal utility with the first rule of consumer behavior, that's going to help us figure out how to find the consumer equilibrium, okay, which I will explain in a second. Okay, consumer equilibrium literally is the combination of goods and services that you buy, okay, with your budget, assuming that you want to maximize your utility. Okay, so if you want to maximize your utility and you have a fixed budget, that leads directly into the second rule of consumer behavior. The second rule of consumer behavior says for every dollar that you spend, choose the product with the greatest marginal utility. All right. Now I'm going to show you how that works in a moment. So let's take an actual example here and work through it so that you can see what's going on. Okay. Let me go back to, let's see. Okay. Let me share my screen again. Let's do this one. All right. Can you see the spreadsheet there? Hopefully. Hopefully the answer is yes. All right. So here's a little scenario. You have $24 budget to spend. Okay. You spend it on 2 items, Frisbees that cost $2 each, and used economics paperbacks, which cost $4 each. Okay. Your utility curves are these numbers here, right? 1 unit of utility, one Frisbee gives you 7 units of utility, 2 Frisbees gives you 13 units of utility. As I mentioned before, the more Frisbees you buy, the higher your utility goes. And the same thing is true of books. The numbers are different, but the pattern is similar. Okay, the more books you have, the more utility you get, but only up to a point. Okay, now, if we want to find the consumer equilibrium, and the consumer equilibrium in this case is what combination of Frisbees and books is going to bring in the most utility. If we want to find the consumer equilibrium, the first thing you have to do is calculate the marginal utility. Well, that wasn't very exciting. Let me steal this. Copy, paste, change this to M. Copy this over here. Well, that was dull. Let's do this, that, and this. I thought I was being so clever by using the spreadsheet. Okay, so let's figure out marginal utility here. Let's suppose that you have 2 Frisbees. You get 13 units of utility in total. You buy the 3rd Frisbee. The 3rd Frisbee bumps your total utility up to 18. what was the marginal utility of that third Frisbee? How do you figure it out? The silence is deafening.
18 minus 13.
It is. It's 18 minus 13. If you get 18 with 3 and you get 13 with 2, the difference is the marginal utility, and that's 5. Okay, let's do this. So what you literally do is you subtract. Okay, now here's a tricky one. What's the marginal utility of the first Frisbee? Morgan?
7.
7. Because how much total utility do you have if you have 0 Frisbees?
0.
So 7 minus 0 is 7. Yes. Okay. So the first step here is you need your marginal utility. So marginal utility, the second one, 13 minus 6 is, 13 minus 7 is what?
6.
6. Okay. I wonder if I can go like this, maybe. I don't know if that's going to work. Okay, marginal utility of the fourth Frisbee is going to be 4. Fifth Frisbee is going to be what?
3.
3. Sixth Frisbee?
1.
1. Seventh Frisbee?
0.
0, right? At some point, you've got enough Frisbees. Okay, what are the marginal utility numbers going to be for books? I'm asking. What's the marginal utility of the first book?
8.
8. The second book?
4.
4. The third book?
2.
2. The fifth book?
1.
I see that.
1. The sixth book?
I can't see.
Really?
1.
It's at 15 and 15. It's 0. You guys can't see that? Is that better? Yes, no, yes, Morgan? Okay, how about the sixth book?
-1.
It's -1. And this, let's make this 12 just so that it's a better story. And this one is -2. Okay, I don't believe those numbers. I don't believe that having additional books will actually reduce your utility, but this person apparently isn't like me. Okay, so everybody see where we are here? Anybody have questions before we take the next step? Amanda, you good?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, Christine?
Yes.
Okay, that sounded like a Christine. Good. Okay, now, second rule of consumer behavior: for every dollar that you spend it where it brings in the most marginal utility. So the third step in the process is we have to divide marginal utility by the price, because that will allow us to compare Frisbees to books on a per dollar basis. All right, so let's do this, and then we will drag that over, and then we will copy this, and this, and this, and then we will drag that over. Okay, now, what's the price of a Frisbee?
2.
2. So we divide 7 by 2, and we get 3.5. 6 by 2, we get 3. 5 by 2, we get 2.5. 4 by 2, we get 2. 3 by 2, we get 1.5. 1 by 2, we get 0.5, and 0 is 0. Nothing exciting there. Okay, what about over here? What's the price of a book?
$4.
$4. So when we divide marginal utility by price, what do we get for the first book?
2.
2. For the second book?
1.
1. For the third book?
0.5.
0.5. For the fourth book? 0.25. After that, it kind of doesn't matter, because it never makes sense to spend your budget on things that are going to make you worse off. So you would never want to be over here. Okay, you wouldn't even want to spend money to get 0 utility. And zero marginal utility. Okay, everybody with me? We're about to do exciting stuff here. I know, it's all exciting. I understand that, but this is very exciting. Okay, now let's start spending our budget. What should we buy first? What has the largest marginal utility per dollar of expenditure?
Books.
Well, a book gives you two units of utility per dollar, but a Frisbee gives you 3.5 units of utility per dollar. So the first thing that you should buy here is a Frisbee. What's the second thing that you should buy?
Another Frisbee.
Another Frisbee, because 3 is greater than 2. So you buy the second Frisbee. What's the third thing that you should buy?
Another Frisbee.
Another Frisbee, because 2.5 is greater than 2. What's the fourth thing that you should buy? How much money do we have left? 2, 4, 6. We have $6 left.
You have $18 left.
Oh, that is a mistake. I apologize. Okay, let's start at 12,
Okay.
and then we can give you guys a raise. Okay, we've spent $6. We have $6 left. A Frisbee gives you 2 units of utility per dollar. A book gives you 2 units of utility per dollar. At that point, your budget is done. And so, assuming that we did this right, the consumer equilibrium would be 4 Frisbees and 1 book. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1. Now, there's a trick here. If you've done the work, if you've done the problem correctly, it should be true when you're done that the marginal utility of the last dollar spent on Frisbees should be exactly equal to the marginal utility of the last dollar spent on books. So that's a way to check your work. Okay, now, with 4 Frisbees, how much utility did we obtain? How much total utility from 4 Frisbees?
22.
Right here, right? 22. Let's do this. Equals 22. How much utility do we get from the first book?
8.
8. So our total utility, pun intended, is 22 plus 8 is 30. 30 units of utility. Okay, now, suppose you said, no, I don't believe you, Greenlaw. You don't know what you're talking about. Morgan used to say that all the time last semester. I think it would be better to divide our money between Frisbees and books. And if we did that, we could buy 2 books and we could buy 2 Frisbees, right? Okay. So that would be 2, 4, 8, $12. All right. So the alternative here is, I guess this is Morgan talking. She says 2 Frisbees and 2 books is better. Well, let's check that. If you bought 2 Frisbees, how much total utility would you get?
13.
13. If you got 2 books, how much total utility would you get?
12.
12. So if you add those together, you get 25. Who's right? This is right. The way I told you the first time, if you do it that way, you will always get the right answer. Some people, the people that aren't here and the people that don't watch the video, are going to try to figure it out by trial and error, and they might get it right, but I doubt it. Okay? If you just use this process that I'm describing here, you will always get the right answer. All right. Any questions? Okay, there are a couple of other things that I could do. We could put the price of books on sale. If we did, then we would have to recalculate the consumer equilibrium because all the MU divided by P numbers here would be different, right? Okay, which means that the choices of what item is the best deal would be different. And so you would come up with a different consumer equilibrium. Another thing that you could do is you could let the price of books go back to what it was, but then change your budget so that you either had more money, in which case you could go further along, or you would have less money, right? So you would need to be able to know how to work those problems out. It's just the same process. You just do it with different prices and different budgets. All right, any questions? Sorry, any questions? Good. Okay, now one other thing. Since you're here, you get a special bonus. The bonus is, I want to show you something on the course outline right here. If you click on this link, this is a video of me doing this lecture in class, and I believe I go into more detail than I did it tonight. So, you know, you can use that video if what we did tonight is not quite enough for you to figure it out. Okay, it's not a terribly long video. All right. Oh, right, you're not looking at this. Sorry, I forgot to share my screen back. Let's try again. Nope, not that one. Stop the share. It's the problem when you always have 62 windows up. All right, get rid of that. Is anything there, or are you just looking at my desktop? This is where I need your help, guys.
We just see the desktop.
Okay. Yeah, this is a metaphor for my life. It does look a little crazy, doesn't it? All right, let's try again. Document 10, oh, here we go. Okay, course outline. Now let me share so you can see it. Right here. And then, yeah. All right, can you see it now?
Yeah.
Okay, so right here, how to find consumer equilibrium, that's the video. All right, yes, Emily. Emily's nodding, that's good to see. Okay, any questions? You can expect to see a problem like that on the second exam. So you really need to know how to figure it out. And just like the supply and demand problem on the first exam, I will divide it into parts to sort of walk you through the process. All right. Now, the last part of the story. We are, this week, at least between now and next Hangouts, we're going to be doing topic 5. And topic 5 is the beginning of the theory of the firm, which we're going to be spending at least a month on, not the introduction, but the whole thing. If you want to be a business major, this is important because it's going to be useful to your business courses. That is not what I wanted to show you. Where did we go? Let's try this. Here we go. Back to the course outline. Okay, so theory of the firm introduction. Okay, so we've got these 2 readings, but there are no modules. You don't have to do a module analysis. If you haven't turned in your utility module analysis, please do that at your earliest convenience. So what we're going to do over the next week is we're going to run our very first online discussion. And where did that go? Here we go. All right. And it's going to be a simple question, but one that we can go a long way with. And the question is, what is business? In your own words, if you had to describe business, what would you say? Okay. I will set this up later tonight and push it out tomorrow. So we'll have 7 days to work on this. Sometimes when when students do an online discussion, they don't do it in a very useful way. I'm sure you guys would not be in that group. An online discussion is supposed to be a conversation. What that means is you're not going to put up a one-page essay and call it done. What you're going to do is you're going to post something, and then people are going to respond to you, and then you're going to respond to them. That's kind of the way a conversation goes, okay? So my point here is that you should plan on posting multiple times over the next week. We will be using the Canvas discussion board, which is where you put your intro videos. So again, I will set that up later, and I will push out an announcement about it. You know, I will follow the discussion every day and hopefully keep us on the right track. And when we're done, hopefully we will know more than we did when we started. Okay, that is always the point of the discussion, is to teach us something. Okay, any questions? Emily's excited, I can tell. All right, well, if there are no questions, then I'm ready to cook dinner, and you guys can get on with your lives. Becca can go babysit and in the warmth somewhere. And I see that Morgan has already had to go back to work. So, all righty, I will see you next week then. Bye.
Have a good night.
Yep, you too.